Hi guys, this is Jenna Maverick from The Yarn That Binds Us, and you're watching how to crochet the berry stitch. There it is in all its glory. We are going to learn how to do it the textbook way, and then also my personal way. I like to do the stitch, and that the way that I tell everybody to do it in my patterns. Wink wink. So I'm going to be practicing on this little guy. But first I wanted to show you some patterns available on my blog, or to be available on my blog soon, so you can learn this skill from this video here and then translate that skill into something like the Lucille Beanie. This is the toddler size version, but that's what it looks like with the little berry stitches. This pattern will be launched on the blog next week. So there's that. There's also the Lucille Bow Beanie, Bow Headband / ear warmer. I'm going to be showing you how to line them up evenly, these berry stitches, and also how to stagger them. But yes, that stitch is used in this pattern. This is already available for free on the blog in a bunch of different sizes, including adult. And then, of course, we have the Lucille Baby Cardigan. This is available on Ravelry at the moment for $3.50, this pattern. It's also going to be on my blog soon, but I have a surprise. In March I'll be launching the child sizes and adult sizes for this cardigan. So this is an unfinished one. I have my buttonholes but no buttons, and I have this to weave in still. But anyway, just to give you an idea, that's what the berry stitch looks like. Let's get into this. Alright, so to get started, you're going to need a hook and a yarn. It doesn't really matter what size, preferably something either a 4.0 millimeter or bigger. I don't suggest anything smaller, because then, you know, it's just going to be too small. I love using Yarn Bee Soft and Sleek for berry stitches. It just, the stiff definition and texture is just brilliant with this yarn, and it's very easy to work with, especially when you're learning the stitch. So get you some of that. Plus they have a million different colors, and they're all really, really pretty. So I'm going to actually just be working on my Lucille Beanie here in the round, and I won't show you, I won't do berry stitches. I'll show you doing the berry stitches all the way around the hat. But if you want to practice with me, what you can do is make a chain that is an even number, and double crochet the first row. So and then once you have the double crochets done, then you can visit me here on this this next part. There's going to be a lot of editing here. Okay, so to start off in my pattern, I'm just going to chain one and just single crochet to begin. So the first stitch is going to be a single crochet, and the last stitch is going to be a single crochet. All the rest are going to be alternating berry stitches and slip stitches. Alright, so just let me reiterate. I'm right where I need to be now. However, if you see berry stitches on the side closest to you of your work, then you shouldn't be on a berry stitch row. Does that make sense? So I had my work facing this way, and there are berry stitches. But if I did berry stitches this way, they would end up on the wrong side of the work. So with that said, I've turned one single crochet, and now I'm ready for the berry stitch. I'm going to go really slow here. I'm nice and focused. Here we go. Yarn over, insert hook into the stitch, yarn over, pull up a loop, You now have 3 loops. You're going to yarn over and pull through the first loop. 1. Now you have 3 loops. Yarn over, insert hook into the same stitch, yarn over, pull up a loop. You now have 5 loops. Yarn over, pull through all 5 loops. And now, if you stop right there, it's going to be pretty flat still on this side. And that's because you need to secure down a slip stitch for the next stitch. Once you do that and you pull it tight, then you'll be able to feel, and you should be able to see too, that there is a little bump there, a little berry stitch. And that is the berry stitch as written in most stitch dictionaries and tutorial books. However, as you can see, it looks a lot different than the ones I actually use in my patterns. And I'll show you how I do mine in just a minute. But let's go ahead and practice. Let's do 2 more times. So yarn over, insert hook into stitch, yarn over, bring up a loop, yarn over, pull through 1. You have 3 loops now. Yarn over, insert hook into the same stitch, yarn over again, pull up a loop. 5 loops on the hook, yarn over and pull through. Slip stitch in the next stitch. All right, let's do this a little faster. And as you get the hang of this, it actually goes by so fast. You won't even have to think twice about how to make it. It'll become second nature to you almost. So I'm just going to end with a single crochet here. I'm not done with the row, but just for the video's sake. All right, so that is your berry stitch. As you can see, mine are a little, just a tiny bit more chunkier. I mean, I like my berries plump and chunky and juicy and bold, and I really like them to stick out. So I'm just gonna frog that briefly. All right, now here's the variation I use on my blog. It's super similar. I'm just adding 1 little step to it. So yarn over, insert hook into stitch, yarn over, pull up a loop, yarn over, pull through the first loop on the hook, yarn over, insert hook into stitch, yarn over, pull up a loop. Now from here, we would usually yarn over and pull through all 5 loops, but we're going to take this 1 step further, make it a little juicier, yarn over, pull through the first loop again, and now yarn over and pull through all 5 loops. And see, you can even see it's so much bulkier and big and bold. Slip stitch. All right, let's do that 2 more times. So yarn over, insert loop, insert hook into stitch, yarn over, pull up a loop, yarn over, pull through the first loop, yarn over, put hook into stitch, yarn over, pull up a loop, yarn over, pull through first loop, yarn over, pull through all 5 loops, and slip stitch. And last one, yarn over, insert hook, yarn over, pull up a loop, yarn over, pull through the first one, yarn over, insert hook, yarn over, pull up a loop, yarn over, first loop, yarn over, pull through all 5, secure with a slip stitch, and end on a single crochet. Now, when we turn it over, woo! So much bigger and plumpier than the other ones. Now that's just my variation. And And if you rather have these smaller berry stitches, that's totally fine. You can always opt, say if you wanted to make one of my patterns, you can always do the normal berry stitch. But this is just how I like them to look. I like them to stand out and be bold and big, but still keep the same shape as the regular old berry stitch. So now, like I said before, when you get around to the end, or even if you're just doing having a pattern with rows, this particular in the round pattern, I actually do turn to get this texture of having one row stick out more than the other row, because I do work this in the back loops. Some of my patterns, though, you're working in both loops. But when you do turn, the next row is not actually going to be the berry stitches. You're going to have to kind of have just a buffer row, if you will, so to get to the next berry stitch row. So you'll see this in my Lucille cardigan pattern and also in the Lucille headband pattern. You really won't see this in my beanie pattern or in my cowl pattern because I'm not lining up berry stitches one after the other. There's going to be 3 rows of double crochet in between, each berry stitch row for this. Something similar for my cowl. So, but if you did want to line them up evenly, just like this, let me show you how to do that. So for the next row, I'm just going to chain 1. I'm going to single crochet in the first single crochet. Let me get on screen there. And now I'm just going to place a slip stitch where the slip stitches are and a single crochet where the berry stitches would be. And notice, to find my stitches, I have to turn my berry stitches towards me, and there they are. I have had testers be confused on where the stitches are after you make these stitches, and you do have to turn your work towards you a little bit. So here we go. So the first stitch will be a slip stitch, so slip stitch, then single crochet. And sometimes if you're not counting, if you do lose count, the easiest way to tell which one's a slip stitch and which one's a berry stitch is the slip stitches are usually much smaller. So as you can see there's 2 big old stitches here, and this one is the slip stitch. And they're always going to be alternating too, so it's one way to know. And like I said, this is just a buffer row. You're not really gonna, see, you can already tell it kind of hides behind the berry stitches because they do pop out so much. Okay, I'm going to chain 1 and I'm going to turn. So now we're just going to repeat what we did before. So single crochet in the first single crochet, and then in the next single crochets you'll do berry stitches, and in the slip stitches you will do slip stitches. In the last stitch you're going to want to just do a single crochet, because remember, you need a stitch behind the actual berry stitch to secure it and make it pop out. Otherwise it's just a flat little puff looking thing. Alright, chain 1 and turn. And as you can see now, I have 2 rows of berry stitches. There's 1 buffer row in between, but you can't see it. And they line up perfectly. Now, if you wanted the berry stitches to be offset, so like in the windows of the last row, you can just switch up the buffer row a little bit. So always single crochet in the first and last single crochet. And instead of doing a slip stitch in the slip stitches and a single crochet in the berry stitches, we're actually going to single crochet in the slip stitches and slip stitch in the berry stitches. Okay, and then single crochet in that last stitch, chain 1, turn. And now we are going to single crochet in the first single crochet. And now we have a slip stitch. Slip stitch in that slip stitch and berry stitch in the single crochet. So that buffer row, we basically just switched up the placement of the berry stitches. Yarn over, insert hook. Make sure your tension's not too tight when you're doing those slip stitches, otherwise it can be a pain in the butt. All right, so now you can see that these are now offset and they are in the windows of our berry stitches. All right, so that's pretty much it. That's the ins and outs of the berry stitch. I showed you the normal berry stitch you would find in most stitch books. I've showed you my variation on it. That's a little bolder and juicier, and the one you will find in all of my patterns. And I've also showed you how to line them up evenly as well as kitty corner them. Kitty corner, is that the term? I don't even know. I can't speak. And that's really all you need to know to utilize this berry stitch. If you're watching this on the blog, you can go ahead and scroll down on this post and you can find all of my patterns that utilize this stitch. You can start practicing it right away using some of the free patterns and paid pattern that I have. And you can also wait till next week, or mark down in your calendar next week on Friday that the Lucille Beanie will be released. The pattern beanie will be released. If you're really interested in how it looks and wanting to make it. And if you're watching this on YouTube, thanks. I hope you learned something today, and if you're watching this on the blog, I also hope you learned something today, something new, maybe not new, I don't know, but if you're watching this on YouTube, go ahead and check out the description box. There you will find links to my patterns as well, and that wraps it up. Thanks for watching.